What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So the New York Jets have been looking outside of the organization for a pivotal backup piece to our defensive line with run-stopping ability. And we were looking at Larry Ogunjobi for a while. It seems like he priced themselves out of the range we were comfortable with because he recently signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we have a plethora of players on the defensive line, some with talents we are already aware of, and some with some hidden untapped potential. And Jonathan Marshall is one of those guys that I believe, depending on how training camp plays out, and of course, just the natural progression of this season, could fill that void for us. Now, little back history on Jonathan Marshall. He played at Arkansas. His sophomore and freshman and sophomore year, he ended up really just being a sub package player, coming in on designated downs. And then his junior year was when he was really able to earn himself a full time role. And we seen him break out to the tune of 10 sacks. One of the things that interested me was during his breakout season, we seen him play, and I think it was like 54 or 54.4% of his snaps, something like that, lined up specifically over the nose tackle, which is an element of our defensive line that we don't really have. All of our defensive tackles essentially line up shaded over either the guard or the center outside of their shoulders, which I want to say is the three technique. But either way, the main point is we don't have any guy that necessarily lines up directly over center consistently. And this is a way that you beat a guy mano a mano like that, right in the middle of your offensive line, you're going to need to provide additional support there. So even though Jonathan Marshall at about 310 pounds doesn't have the same size of classic nose tackles like Damon Harrison we've had, he could have this same effect just based on how we want our defensive line to operate, which is not a read and react type defense. We are a find the ball, go get the ball style attack defense. So this plays perfectly into his athletic gifts, which are astronomical. So one of the things that amazed me when we got this selection and I was checking him out, his relative athletic score was a 9.99 out of 10, which basically meant for us, historically, he is the number two ranked defensive tackle of all time, at least for the 48 years that they've been, researching and recording this data. So we are talking about quite literally historically having the second highest athletically gifted player at this position. Now, hopefully he can add on pounds and that, same level of explosiveness and elite athleticism can be had, but I will take that all day. We, in my opinion, basically got the equivalent of this year's Trayvon Walker in the sixth round last year. And they have similar backstories, minimal playing time their first few years, and then a breakout season of sorts. So the real question is going to be, what can Jonathan Marshall do? And last season, he was able to see the field for 4 games. I think he played about 77, 78 snaps, so about 18 to 19 snaps over those 4 games. Who knows how much that allowed the defensive line coach and the rest of the defensive staff to really find out what his game can be tailor-made to do in this defense. But you would have to still be excited. His talent that he'll be paired with, no matter when he comes in, is sky high. So it's not like he'll have to do anything on his own per se. So 4 games last season, about 17 to 18 snaps, something like that, over those 4 games. He didn't really make much of an impact. 1 tackle in terms of a solo. I think he had an assist and then a quarterback hurry. So we, it's very limited, very limited amount of time he was able to go out there and really do anything. And as a 6th round pick, is unlikely he was really going to see the field anyways. There's a little bit of a combination of injury history, as well as just how we like to rotate in our defensive line. So I think the next natural progressive step that we need to see for Jonathan Marshall is actually having some impact plays this season. So he's primed for an opportunity that many of us maybe didn't factor in. Quentin Williams and Sheldon Rankins technically are really the only main two 100%, ahead of Jonathan Marshall. John Franklin Myers, we don't know how he'll be utilized. It could be a 50-50 split. Either way, obviously he's ahead of Jonathan Marshall, but the point is this could be an opportunity where he sees a lot more of those interior snaps that maybe he wouldn't have a chance to otherwise. And if Sheldon Rankins continues to not perform as advertised, that gives him even more opportunities if he shows it. And training camp will be the first time we kind of get a little bit of a hint. And if that's going to be the case, and he's taken a next step. But again, for a guy that has the measurables that he does, and at least the 1 year production his junior year is something that we should be excited about in terms of already having an in-house candidate to fill that run stopping role. But I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think, my projections here are far off and he's just going to essentially be a camp body, or do we actually see some legit opportunities in production from him this season? Let me know in the comments. Catch you guys again. Peace.